Have you ever woken up in the morning only to realize your legs feel so heavy, as if you're carrying a bag of sand? Does every step seem to be accompanied by a creaking sound from your knees, while your calves stiffen like stone, especially after standing for a while, a light walk, or simply going up and down a few stairs? Many people often think that's the price of aging. I'm old. It's probably the weather, or I don't exercise enough. These reasons sound logical, but they don't get to the root of the problem. The truth is, leg swelling, knee pain, calf stiffness isn't always due to severe joint degeneration or a high sodium diet. Sometimes the culprit is something far more invisible: blood flow that's no longer as smooth as it once was. Imagine this: every time you stand, walk, or exercise, your leg muscles and joints need a supply of fresh, oxygenated blood for fuel. But if the small blood vessels in your thighs and calves narrow with age, blood can't get there sufficiently. Over time, muscle tissue lacks nutrients, becomes easily fatigued, while joints aren't nourished, leading to slight swelling and a dull ache with every movement. The problem is even more subtle because older adults often don't pay attention to lower limb circulation. Taking blood pressure medication? Yes. Rubbing hot oil on knees? Yes. But few people think about nourishing the very blood flow that feeds their legs, which determines the feeling of lightness or heaviness every day. And here's the regrettable part. Many people over 60 have tried joint-friendly juices like orange, carrot, turmeric, or even taken collagen, but they overlook a natural juice that has been proven in numerous studies to be able to dilate small blood vessels in the thighs and legs, reduce inflammation in the knee and ankle joints, accelerate muscle recovery, and reduce soreness after walking. And the best part is, after just a few days to 2 weeks, many people clearly felt their legs were less swollen, could walk further without fatigue, and climb stairs more easily. So the question is, what kind of juice is it? And why does it have such power, even though it's not a medicine and doesn't require high doses? Let's find out in the next section. The answer, surprisingly, lies in a bright red fruit, often seen as a symbol of rebirth across many cultures: the pomegranate. But beyond its symbolic meaning, pure pomegranate juice has been scientifically proven to be a natural circulation booster. And right now, we're going to break down exactly how it works, starting with the most important benefit for your legs: dilating blood vessels to increase peripheral blood flow. Pure pomegranate juice, that dark red, mildly tart liquid, contains a host of powerful bioactive compounds, especially punicolagen and ellagic acid, two polyphenol warriors widely studied in the field of cardiovascular and circulatory health. And when it comes to the legs, the furthest point from the heart, most prone to insufficient blood supply, pomegranate juice's most prominent ability is to help dilate peripheral blood vessels. More specifically, the vessels in the thighs, calves, and ankles, areas prone to blood stagnation when you stand for long periods, walk a lot, or experience fluctuating blood pressure. Sounds technical? Then imagine this. Blood is like a stream of cars trying to navigate a crowded street. Every time an artery narrows, like a bottleneck on the road, blood can't reach your legs. Your legs will start to swell slightly, feel numb, or feel heavy as lead. So how does pomegranate juice help? This brings us to two special bioactive compounds in this juice: punicolagen and ellagic acid, powerful natural polyphenols found in pomegranates. When absorbed into the body, they activate the ENOS, endothelial nitric oxide synthase, enzyme in the vascular endothelium. This enzyme is responsible for producing nitric oxide, NO, a signaling molecule capable of relaxing the smooth muscles of blood vessels. When nitric oxide is released, the arterial walls in the thighs, calves, and ankles naturally dilate, reducing vascular resistance and allowing blood to flow more easily. This is particularly significant in older adults, whose vascular endothelium has often been slightly damaged over time, leading to impaired NO production and sluggish blood flow in the lower limbs. And it's not just theory. Many clinical studies have demonstrated pomegranate juice's clear vasodilatory effects. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition, Ferguson et al. 2017, showed that after a single dose of 1 g of pomegranate extract, equivalent to 8.5 to 10 ounces, 250 to 300 ml of juice, participants' femoral artery diameter significantly increased, and their exercise time to exhaustion also increased by 12% after just 30 minutes of consumption. In other words, their legs received more fuel, functioned more efficiently, and didn't tire as quickly as before. Another study published in Atherosclerosis, Asghari et al., 2014, conducted on older adults with mild hypertension, showed that after 2 weeks of drinking 6.7 ounces, 200 milliliters of pomegranate juice daily, blood flow through the calf arteries, measured by Doppler ultrasound, FMD, significantly improved. The sensation of heavy legs and slight ankle swelling after prolonged standing also clearly decreased. This difference is especially beneficial for older adults, who often experience reduced blood supply to the lower limbs due to gravity and impaired small vessel function. A glass of pomegranate juice every morning is not a miracle cure, but it is a safe biological lever that helps direct blood where it needs to go, to the feet and thigh muscles, areas that are often most overlooked. Have you ever noticed your legs feel numb when you're grocery shopping, but feel more comfortable when you're resting? That's a sign of blood getting stuck in traffic when you're standing. And sometimes, simply helping blood vessels expand gently with natural compounds, like those in pomegranates, is enough to allow you to walk a few hundred more steps without knee pain or shaky calves. Once the blood vessels in your legs have expanded, blood begins to flow more evenly, delivering oxygen and nutrients to every muscle fiber and joint area that was previously starved. The sensation of heavy legs subsides and your steps become steadier. But adequate blood flow isn't enough, because if the vascular endothelium is still inflamed, if the joints are still being misactivated by the immune system, the pain will still recur, even after walking a short distance or standing for a little while. And that's the next strength of pomegranate juice, its ability to soothe subtle inflammation in blood vessels and joints, a silent mechanism but crucial for whether you walk comfortably or experience pain with every step. Inflammation doesn't always manifest externally with redness or burning sensations. In older adults, especially after age 60, most inflammation occurs silently, in the small blood vessels around the knee and ankle joints, and even in areas of cartilage that are gradually wearing down. Have you ever felt a dull ache in your knees whenever the weather turns cold? Or every morning when you wake up, it takes a few minutes for your joints to warm up before you can walk? These signs aren't just aging, they're symptoms of prolonged, low-grade inflammation. In medicine, this phenomenon is called low-grade inflammation, low-level but prolonged, affecting the vascular endothelium and the joint's synovial membrane. And if not controlled in time, this inflammatory process will accelerate cartilage degeneration, causing pain, limiting mobility, and making you lose confidence when moving. The remarkable thing is, the polyphenols in pomegranate juice can directly intervene in this inflammatory cascade. More specifically, pomegranate juice contains flavonoids, punicalagin, and ellagic acid, compounds that have been shown to reduce the expression of inflammatory adhesion molecules like VCAM1, ICAM1, and E-selectin. These are molecules that cause white blood cells to stick to vessel walls and migrate to inflamed joint areas, thereby prolonging the inflammatory response. When these inflammatory signals are reduced, the immune system no longer deploys troops to the wrong place, and the joint area has a chance to heal naturally without internal conflict. The effectiveness isn't just theoretical. A study published in the Journal of Research in Medical Sciences, 2014, showed that older adults who drank 6.7 ounces, 200 milliliters of pomegranate juice daily for 4 weeks had significantly reduced levels of CRP, C-reactive protein, a systemic inflammatory marker, while knee joint pain during activity also clearly improved. Another study in clinical nutrition also indicated that after 3 weeks of drinking pure pomegranate juice, people with mild joint pain could flex and extend their joints more easily in the morning and reduced their frequency of using pain relievers. Are you drinking something every morning to help your knee joints feel smoother? If not, try asking a simple question. Instead of taking medication, can I nourish my blood vessels and joints from within just by drinking a natural glass of juice every day? For older adults, it's not just about temporary pain relief, but about preventing further joint damage and soothing an overactive immune system. And that's what pomegranate juice can support, gently, sustainably, and non-invasively. You might have thought pomegranate juice was just a delicious fruit, but for rusted knees, for ankles that swell slightly after a long period of standing, it could be an ally you've never noticed. When the internal inflammatory response in the joints is soothed and the vascular endothelium stabilizes, you'll feel less knee soreness and less ankle swelling. Every step, every time you stand up, will feel lighter. But there's still another factor often overlooked, and it's what prevents many people over 60 from maintaining an active lifestyle, no matter how determined they are. That is, prolonged muscle soreness in the calves and thighs, even after seemingly light activities. And this is where pomegranate juice plays another role, not just nourishing blood or fighting inflammation, but also helping muscles recover faster after activity so you can continue walking, climbing stairs, or simply living actively without fearing the cost of 2 or 3 days of prolonged pain. In reality, post-exercise soreness, even from a grocery trip or a few minutes of climbing stairs, is the result of microscopic damage to muscle fibers. Every time your muscles contract and relax for you to walk, the muscle fibers are slightly stretched. In young people, the body can quickly repair these small damages within hours, but after age 60, the recovery process slows down. The body produces fewer repair enzymes, mitochondria also work slower, and reactive oxygen species, ROS, accumulate in muscles for longer. What's the result? A dull ache that lasts 24 to 48 hours after activity, calves that stiffen as if recoiling after a walk, and many people start fearing physical activity because every time they exercise, they get tired. Every time they walk, they get sore. It's a very real, vicious cycle. You want to exercise to be healthy, but the more you exercise, the more pain you feel. And the solution isn't constant rest, but supporting the body's proper recovery. Pomegranate juice, with its high content of anthocyanins and natural vitamin C, is a gentle but effective booster for muscles. Anthocyanins are not just the pigments that give pomegranates their characteristic red color, but also powerful antioxidants that help scavenge free radicals generated in muscles after exercise. When free radicals are neutralized, muscle cell membranes are less damaged, mitochondria are protected, and the body can begin to repair and regenerate muscles faster. This isn't just theory. A meta-analysis published in the British Journal of Nutrition in 2018 noted, drinking pomegranate juice twice daily, 8.5-17 ounces, 250 to 500 ml, for 2 to 9 days, significantly reduced delayed onset muscle soreness, DOMS, after exercise and accelerated the recovery of muscle strength. Another experimental study, Trombold et al. 2014, on exercisers over 55 also showed, after 9 days of consuming 17 ounces, 500 ml, of pomegranate juice daily, participants experienced a 25% reduction in muscle soreness after downhill running and recovered leg muscle strength 8% faster compared to the control group. If you've walked today and woke up the next morning feeling like your calves were constantly being punched, then this mechanism is well worth considering. Because the problem isn't that your legs are weakening, the problem lies in how your body responds after activity, and if it can't recover in time, you'll always feel worn out, even after just light work. Are you experiencing that? Have you ever felt your calves aching until the next morning? If so, don't blame it on age. Try thinking in a new direction. My body just needs proper recovery support, and pomegranate juice is one of the simplest ways to start. Once your muscles have recovered properly, the feeling of utter fatigue after walking begins to subside. You can climb stairs or do light activities without worrying about 2 days of pain. But there's another issue, also related to circulation, and it can silently make you afraid to stand for long periods. that slight lightheadedness, tingling, or slight loss of balance in your calves whenever you stand in the kitchen for more than 15 minutes or have to rub your knees immediately after grocery shopping. At this point, the culprit isn't in the muscles or joints, but in blood pressure and the ability of blood vessels to constrict and dilate when you change positions. And what few people realize is pomegranate juice can also help with this by helping to stabilize blood pressure and make vascular function more flexible when you stand for a long time. After age 60, there's a health issue that's very easy to overlook until it leads to serious consequences. Falls. Just a stumble when getting up from a chair, a shaky step while washing dishes, or the feeling of weak, shaky calves after 10 minutes of standing in line at the pharmacy. Some people think it's due to weak joints, others blame blurry vision, but often the cause comes from something far more subtle, unstable blood pressure when changing positions. A healthy body automatically adjusts blood pressure when we stand up by rapidly constricting blood vessels, increasing heart rate, and pushing blood to the brain just in time. But in older adults, this reflex mechanism often slows down. When blood hasn't had time to rush back from the legs to the heart, blood pressure temporarily drops, causing you to feel slight lightheadedness, legs feeling slightly numb or weak, needing to hold on to something or sit down quickly to avoid losing balance. This is called orthostatic hypotension, very common after age 60, even if you don't have severe blood pressure problems. And the important thing is, orthostatic hypotension doesn't just cause discomfort. It's a leading potential cause of falls, bone fractures, and even hospitalization. So, what does pomegranate juice have to do with this? While not a treatment for hypotension, pomegranate juice has been shown to flatten mild blood pressure fluctuations in older adults, particularly reducing the significant difference between sitting, standing, walking. A study by Asghari et al., 2014, showed that after 2 weeks of consuming 6.7 ounces, 200 milliliters of pomegranate juice daily, systolic blood pressure was slightly lowered and more stable, meaning it didn't fluctuate erratically when changing positions. Notably, participants also reported less dizziness and fewer instances of losing balance when getting up quickly. Here, pomegranate juice doesn't act by sharply reducing blood pressure like medication. Instead, it acts like a shock absorber for the circulatory system, helping blood pressure transition more smoothly without shock and preventing blood from rushing to the legs too quickly, causing temporary weakness in the calves and feet. By now, you've probably seen it clearly. Just 1 glass of pomegranate juice a day, which seems like it only quenches thirst, can simultaneously open blood vessels, soothe inflammation, aid muscle recovery, and stabilize blood pressure when standing for long periods. Not every food can do that, and it's even rarer for a drink to be so suitable for people over 60 in terms of both effectiveness and safety. But the effectiveness only comes if used correctly. Using it at the wrong time, too little, or too much, can make the effects negligible. Combining it with the wrong foods can also lead to unwanted blood sugar spikes, especially for those at risk of diabetes. So, how much is enough? When should you drink it? What foods are best to combine it with? And are there any precautions? Here's a specific guide to help you turn pomegranate juice into an effective part of your daily routine, not just a trendy drink. Understanding the effects of pomegranate juice is an important step. But to transform those effects into real benefits in the body, the dosage, timing, and frequency of use are key. You might ask, is just 1 glass a day enough? Not wrong, but that 1 glass needs to be the right kind, and it must be consumed at the right time to fully activate all the beneficial mechanisms we mentioned earlier. Based on published clinical studies, the dosage that provides significant benefits for cardiovascular health, joints, and muscles typically falls within the range of 5-8 OZ, 150 250 ml per day of pure pomegranate juice, 100%, enough to provide approximately 1.2 1.8 GEs of polyphenols daily, a level proven to have biological effects. For beginners, it's advisable to start with 3.45 OZ, 100 to 150 ml per day, then gradually increase after 3 to 5 days if your body adapts well. Dividing the dose also helps better control blood sugar response, which will be discussed in more detail later. However, it's not just the quantity that matters. The timing of consumption also makes a big difference. For people over 60, the body operates on a very clear day-night rhythm. Therefore, drinking pomegranate juice at the right time when your circulatory system and muscles are ready to open will help increase effectiveness without needing to increase the dose. The first best time is in the morning, about 10 to 15 minutes after breakfast. At that point, the body has just absorbed energy, blood vessels are expanding to start the new day, and pomegranate juice will quickly enter the circulatory system without causing hypoglycemia or indigestion. Drinking it after breakfast also has the benefit of slowing down the absorption of natural sugars in the pomegranate, thanks to the fats and proteins from the accompanying food. This is especially important for those monitoring their blood sugar. The second best time is about 45 to 60 minutes before you exercise, such as a morning walk, joint recovery exercises, or preparing to do housework. This is when your muscles need blood, oxygen, and mild anti-inflammatory capabilities to prevent rapid fatigue. Drinking pomegranate juice beforehand will help your body dilate blood vessels at the right time, deliver nutrients to the necessary areas, and reduce the risk of post-exercise soreness. If you usually walk in the afternoon, then drinking it around 3 to 4 p.m. is also a reasonable time. So, do you need to drink it every day? The answer is yes, at least for the first 2 weeks, because the effects of improving circulation, stabilizing blood pressure, and reducing muscle pain require continuous accumulation in the blood. Some effects, like vasodilation, can occur after just 30-60 minutes. But sustainable benefits, like soothing inflammation, reducing joint pain, and stabilizing orthostatic blood pressure, usually become evident only after 5 to 14 days of regular use. Therefore, you should view pomegranate juice as part of your morning routine, like brushing your teeth or making tea, regular, gentle, but with silent power. For those with light activity, mainly moving around the house, once a day after breakfast is sufficient. But if you exercise outdoors frequently, or often climb stairs, take grandchildren out to play, or are recovering muscles and joints after an injury, you can divide it into 2 times a day, one after breakfast and one before your walk. Don't worry too much about dividing the dose. As long as you maintain consistency and proper timing, your body will adjust to make the most of what you put in. And perhaps, after just 1 week, you'll be surprised to realize your legs are less swollen when standing in the kitchen, your knees hurt less after grocery shopping, and you no longer feel utterly exhausted just from walking a few laps around the house. At that point, you'll know your body is starting to respond. But even if you're drinking the right amount at the right time, there's still another factor that determines whether pomegranate juice truly unleashes its full potential. That's the context in which it enters your body, on an empty stomach or after eating, along with pastries or a protein-rich meal. And after drinking, do you rest or engage in light activity? For young people, these details might not be that important, but for those over 60, when metabolism, absorption, and activity all slow down, how you combine pomegranate juice with your meals and daily activities will significantly determine its actual effectiveness. Next, we'll explore what foods should you eat with pomegranate juice to reduce blood sugar, what kind of activity should you combine it with to increase blood flow to your legs, and in everyday situations like standing in the kitchen, grocery shopping, or resting after activity, how should you apply it to feel lighter legs and stronger knees day by day? A glass of pomegranate juice can contain many valuable polyphenols, but if it enters the body incorrectly, it won't unleash its full potential. The body isn't just a simple conduit, and the effectiveness of pomegranate juice lies not only in itself, but also in the biological context you create through your meals, activities, and daily food combinations. First, it's essential to understand a basic principle. Polyphenols in pomegranate juice are very sensitive to the absorption environment. They are unstable, easily broken down by stomach acid, and without proper support from accompanying food, the amount actually absorbed into the bloodstream will be very low. In-depth studies on the metabolism of punicalagin, a prominent active compound in pomegranate juice, show that if you drink it on an empty stomach, initial absorption might be faster, but its plasma retention time is short. The liver and small intestine process it quickly, sometimes too quickly, causing many beneficial substances to be lost before they can exert their effects. Not just the accompanying food, but also what you do after drinking pomegranate juice affects how your body responds. If you finish drinking and immediately sit on the sofa to watch TV, blood won't flow to your legs as you'd like. But if you take a light walk indoors for about 10-15 minutes, or simply do a few calf raises or stretches in place, you're actively opening the door for pomegranate juice to exert its power. There's a simple habit proven in studies at Japanese and Canadian gerontology institutes. Just by standing up every 30 minutes of sitting, gently bending your knees, and doing calf raises for about 1 to 2 minutes, that is, waking up your calf muscles, will significantly increase blood flow to your lower limbs, while also reducing the risk of leg swelling and blood pressure fluctuations. If you do this immediately after drinking pomegranate juice, the effect of increased circulation will be amplified. Conversely, when you drink pomegranate juice after a light meal containing protein and good fats, the absorption process will be slower, more stable, and more effective. The reason is that polyphenols can bind to fat molecules, like oleic acid in avocados or fats in egg yolks, to be transported across the intestinal mucosal barrier, enter the lymphatic system, and then into the bloodstream. This mechanism helps extend the biological lifespan of polyphenols, while also reducing the burden on the liver from sudden processing. You can imagine it this way. Drinking pomegranate juice after a meal is like placing a valuable item on a high-end delivery truck, protected and delivered to the right place at the right time. But if you drink it on an empty stomach, you're sending that item by a reckless truck. It might arrive early, but it's more likely to be broken, damaged, or lost along the way. Another important aspect is the blood sugar response. While pomegranate juice is rich in antioxidants, it still contains about 30 to 35 genes of natural sugar per litre. For young people, that's a small matter. But for those over 60, when insulin sensitivity has decreased, introducing such an amount of sugar into the blood on an empty stomach can create a higher than normal glucose peak. This doesn't cause immediate consequences, but if repeated many times, it contributes to promoting underlying inflammation, increasing liver fat, and causing energy fluctuations throughout the day, making you feel sluggish or slightly restless after breakfast. Therefore, combining pomegranate juice with protein-rich and low-refined carbohydrate foods is not only to protect polyphenol absorption, but also a smart way to stabilize blood sugar. A breakfast consisting of whole wheat bread, boiled eggs, and a few slices of avocado or a spoonful of Greek yogurt will not only sustain you throughout the morning, but also create an ideal environment for pomegranate juice to exert its vasodilating and anti-inflammatory effects on your legs. Additionally, you also need to pay attention to foods that can hinder or interfere with polyphenol absorption. Typical examples are strong tea, strong coffee, or red wine, beverages rich in tannins. Tannins have a structure similar to polyphenols and tend to compete for absorption sites in the intestines. If you drink strong tea immediately after drinking pomegranate juice, it's highly likely that the absorption of both types of polyphenols will be reduced due to competition for passage through the intestinal gate. It's best to allow at least 1 hour between pomegranate juice and high tannin beverages. This also applies to some iron supplements, which are also easily affected by the natural acids in pomegranate juice. If you are taking iron supplements, you should separate their intake from pomegranate juice by at least 2 hours. A frequently overlooked factor is digestive enzymes and the gut microbiome. In many older adults, especially those on long-term medication or who are inactive, the gut microbiome can become imbalanced, leading to incomplete breakdown of punicalagin and ellagic acids. This reduces the ability to metabolize polyphenols into urolithins, a more potent form of antioxidant capable of penetrating deep into muscle and blood vessel tissues. To improve this, you can combine drinking pomegranate juice with mild probiotic products like kefir unsweetened yogurt throughout the day, not necessarily at the same time, but in alternation, to help stabilize the gut microbiome and support the breakdown of beneficial compounds. Besides food, physical activity after drinking pomegranate juice also plays a significant role. When you engage in light activity, like a slow 10-15 minute walk, ankle flexions and extensions, or calf stretches, you are helping your body direct nutrients and bioactive compounds to where they are needed. Blood will be propelled more effectively to your lower limbs, and blood vessel receptors will be more sensitive to nitric oxide. And as a result, the vasodilatory effect will not only occur in your heart or liver, but truly reach your thighs, knees, and ankles. That's a targeted therapy that doesn't require needles or prescriptions, just a harmonious combination of a glass of juice and a few slow steps. Another note is not to drink pomegranate juice right before bedtime, especially if you are prone to nighttime urination or are taking mild diuretics. Pomegranate juice can mildly stimulate the circulatory system and increase peripheral blood flow for the first few hours after consumption. That's very good during the day, but if it happens at night, it can cause you to wake up, urinate frequently, or feel difficulty sleeping due to slightly increased peripheral circulation. However, even if you know when to drink it, what to combine it with, and how to exercise after drinking, there's still a crucial factor that determines success or failure. Are you drinking the right kind of pomegranate juice, or just a pomegranate-like product? Because many people, despite diligently following instructions, still don't get the desired results. Not because they're wrong about how to use it, but wrong, right from the bottle. Currently, there are dozens of types of pomegranate juice on the market. Small bottles, large bottles, chilled, room temperature, cocktail, blend, light, original. But not all types contain enough polyphenols to produce the vasodilating, anti-inflammatory, or muscle recovery effects that studies have shown. So how do you choose correctly? How do you hold a truly trustworthy bottle of pomegranate juice in your hand instead of just a fruit-flavored soft drink that tastes like pomegranate? Next, we'll delve into the selection process, where a keen eye at the supermarket can make a big difference for your legs. Choosing the right type of pomegranate juice isn't difficult, but it requires discernment, especially when there are so many products that look healthy but actually don't provide real benefits. Therefore, the first step when grocery shopping is to look for types that clearly state 100% pomegranate juice, pure pomegranate juice, with no added apple, grape, or sweeteners. If you see words like juice cocktail or fruit blend, gently put them back, because that's no longer pure pomegranate. Another small tip is to prioritize cold-pressed and refrigerated varieties, often found in the refrigerated section with labels like cold-pressed or keep refrigerated. These types retain the most active polyphenols, especially punicalagin, the compound that effectively dilates blood vessels and reduces inflammation. Avoid types left at room temperature for too long or with a shelf life of up to 6 months, as they have usually undergone heat processing, which reduces their nutritional value. If unsure, you can look at the nutrition facts label. A glass, 8 Oz to 240 ml of pure pomegranate juice typically contains about 30 to 35 GN of natural sugar. If you see higher than this, sugar may have been added, and if you are in the group that needs to control blood sugar, choose the 100% type but drink half a glass at a time after a protein-rich meal. And if you want absolute peace of mind, make it yourself at home. Cut a fresh pomegranate in half, remove the seeds, and juice them with a slow juicer, and you'll have a pure glass of pomegranate juice with no worries about contaminants. If you don't have a juicer, you can put the seeds in a clean cloth bag, squeeze them by hand, and filter through a sieve. It takes a little more time, but the health benefits are entirely worth it. So, whether you choose to buy or make it yourself, just remember these 3 things. Pure pomegranate, cold-pressed, no added sugar, and your legs will thank you every day. Pomegranate juice is one of the most benign juices available today, but that doesn't mean everyone can use it freely. There are some special cases that require attention, especially in people over 60, when the body no longer processes nutrients as quickly as before. First are people taking blood pressure medications or blood thinners, such as statins or warfarin. Some studies have noted that pomegranate juice can increase the bioavailability, that is, the potency, of these medications in the body. This is not absolutely dangerous, but it can make the medication stronger than intended, leading to a risk of mild hypertension or an increased risk of bruising if impacted. If you are taking these types of medications, it is best to consult your doctor before incorporating pomegranate juice into your daily routine, especially if you plan to use it regularly for a long time. Second are people with diabetes or pre-diabetes. As mentioned, pure pomegranate juice without added sugar still contains about 30 grams of natural sugar per glass. Although this sugar comes with polyphenols, so it causes less blood sugar shock than industrial soft drinks, it can still cause blood sugar to rise if used incorrectly. Therefore, diabetics should only consume half a glass, about 4 oz, 120 ml. Drink it immediately after a meal with protein and fiber, and check blood sugar 1 to 2 hours afterward during the first few times to understand how their body reacts. Third are people with digestive problems or a sensitive stomach. Pomegranate juice is mildly acidic and contains many active antioxidants, which can cause mild stomach upset if consumed on an empty stomach, especially in older adults with sensitive stomachs. If you've ever experienced bloating or heartburn after eating sour fruits, you should avoid drinking pomegranate juice on an empty stomach and divide it into 2 to 3 smaller servings throughout the day instead of one large serving. There's also a phenomenon that causes unnecessary worry for many: slightly pink urine after drinking pomegranate juice. This is completely harmless. A small portion of the anthocyanin pigments in pomegranates can be excreted in the urine, creating a faint pinkish color, similar to when eating beets. It's not a sign of bleeding, nor is it related to kidney problems. But if you're concerned, stop drinking for a few days and observe. Your urine color will return to normal. Finally, the common question: should you drink pomegranate juice every day? The answer is yes, but in the correct dosage. There's no need to drink too much. Just 5 to 8 is 150 to 250 ml daily after a main meal is enough to provide the vasodilating, anti-inflammatory, and muscle recovery effects noted in studies. Drinking more won't increase the effect, it will only make you consume unnecessary sugar and calories. In summary, if you are over 60, taking medication, or have metabolic issues, pomegranate juice can still be an excellent choice if you know how to use it correctly. Like all good things in life, dosage, timing, and understanding are key. You don't need expensive foods or elaborate supplements. Sometimes just one glass of pomegranate juice a day, used correctly at the right time, is enough to create noticeable changes. Less swollen legs, less joint pain, and lighter steps day by day. Thanks to its ability to dilate blood vessels, reduce inflammation, aid muscle recovery, and support blood pressure, pomegranate juice becomes one of the simplest yet most effective allies for people over 60 who want to regain flexibility and stability. Whether you choose to buy it at the supermarket or make it yourself at home, just remember, choose the pure, unsweetened variety and combine it smartly with your meals and activities. Start with a small glass and let your body feel the difference. Sometimes the most valuable things come from a very simple choice, like a plump red pomegranate carrying a healing flow for legs that need support. Not everyone can climb mountains or run every day after age 60, but everyone can start with a small glass of pomegranate juice. Just 5 to 8 Oz, 150 to 250 ml, after breakfast or before your walk, you are silently nourishing your legs with the best nature has to offer: clearer blood vessels, less aching knees, and faster muscle recovery after every step. No need to wait for miracles. Real change comes from small habits, consistent and correct. And if today you choose pomegranate juice, perhaps tomorrow you'll walk further, stand steadier, without needing anyone to guide your steps.